Zaxby's.
Good morning. Always nice to welcome you to 3+U, and here we go again. So welcome to the show. If perhaps you're watching us from work or a doctor's office, maybe you're watching from the comfort of your home, I bet when you're driving around town, perhaps it happened to you today, you're on the road and you look up and you see these billboards, and they're testimonials for Siskin Hospital for Rehabilitation, and they'll say, because of Siskin, I can do whatever the task is that Siskin helped them to achieve and get back from an accident or a tragedy in their life. We're going to celebrate those miracles this morning as we kick off the show and invite you to the annual Possibilities Luncheon. Teresa Dinger is here with the hospital. Next to her is Keith Sanford, who has the great joy of not only having been the beneficiary in a way of the miracles there at Siskin, but you get to co-chair the event this year. So good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa, you always beam big when you talk all things Siskin. You love seeing what happens inside those walls.
I do, absolutely, Julie. It's incredible. Every day is incredible. And we're so excited about Possibilities, especially this year. That's our annual fundraiser. And we are bringing in Victoria Arlen this year. And Victoria is she's a reporter for ESPN. She was on Dancing with the Stars. She's a Paralympic athlete, and when she was 11 years old, she became very, very ill. She suffered what's called transverse myelitis and then locked-in syndrome. So for 4 years, starting at 11, this little girl was locked in her body, and her parents fought for 4 years to try to get the answers to her. And so she began to get better. She progressed. She was in a wheelchair for a number of years. Now she's no longer in the wheelchair, but so she is coming to talk to us about life after disability. And we are so excited to be able to share Victoria's story of hope. And the beautiful thing is, with Keith Sanford and his family, it mirrors what they're doing.
Well, it does, because this pediatric theme is going to continue as you hear Keith's story, and I'm going to set you up and then I'm going to let you tell. But I think that so often you don't think that anything like this can befall a young person.
Absolutely.
With your daughter-in-law, she was 4 and had a stroke, is that right?
Yes. So, and she was 4, swinging on a swing with her sister, and fell off, and her sister went and got her mom, took her out, and she'd had a stroke. So she ended up spending about 4 months inpatient at Siskin, and when they didn't have a lot of young inpatient patients, and then she spent at least 10 years in outpatient rehab for it. My son met her probably 7-8 years ago, started dating, and now they have got married, have a 5.5-year-old and a son that just turned 3, both healthy little boys. And to me, without Siskin, I wouldn't have my grandchildren.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I think that so often when we've had these conversations, because we get to talk annually ahead of the event, we do focus, and rightly so, on kind of a recent story, where that recovery is just on the tip of their fingers.
Yes.
To see, though, that this lasts decades and a lifetime in the example of Meg, very powerful.
It is powerful. It really is. So we are going to tell Meg's story, but we're also going to tell a recent story.
Oh, really?
We have a gentleman named Tim Price, and he spent 6 months with us recently. He is a truck driver, and he left his home in Cleveland to make a run to Orlando. And about Dalton, his lips started going numb, and then his cheeks. By the time he pursued on, made it to Orlando, and had to be admitted to the hospital. And he had what's called Guillain-Barré syndrome, very similar to what was going on with Victoria Arlen, and just kind of he couldn't move, he couldn't talk, and he continued to get worse. So he came to Siskin Hospital, wasn't able to feed himself, wasn't able to do anything, and he walked out of there a few weeks ago. And I'm telling you, we do a discharge celebration now when our patients leave. We all line up in the lobby and clap and cheer for them to leave. Our lobby was packed. People were looking over the overhang. There wasn't a dry eye to watch this man walk out with his family and go home, knowing that he was completely dependent when he came to us. So we get to tell Tim's story as well as Meg's, just to show how in an instant things can happen.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be careful how I tread here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to go down a path. Y'all walk it with me. So there are people watching this morning who might be somewhat new to town, and they might not know the story of Siskin. If you are a biblical person at all, that part of your faith becomes the fascination really in realizing that so many people had these encounters with God, and they would say, oh God, if you can just please do this for me, I promise.
Yes.
That is the miracle that came from Siskin.
Absolutely.
You tell the story.
It is. So Mose and Garrison Siskin were brothers, and it's so interesting how they ended up benefiting. Garrison Siskin was traveling by train, and when the platform went down, it hit his leg and injured him, and he was hospitalized and told that we're going to have to amputate your leg. And he prayed and prayed, and that night he promised, he said, God, if you will save my leg, I will help others. And in the morning they realized they did not have to amputate his leg, and he was able to go on, and they stayed true to it. The Siskin brothers never realized the dream of seeing the hospital open, but they laid the groundwork for it.
That's right. And their family continues
and their family, yes. Pris Siskin is on our committee, helps us raise money every year for possibilities. The family has been very much involved, and we're so grateful. But when you think of the lives that have been touched by these men and the philanthropic nature of what they've done between the Institute and, of course, Siskin Hospital.
You said a phrase earlier when you were talking about Victoria that really stuck with me, because you said her parents fought to find answers.
Yes.
I think that can't be overstated either.
Absolutely.
And perhaps you've heard Meg's parents talk about this too, because you're in the pediatric side of it, or even a spousal side of it, you're desperate for someone to take control and help your loved one heal.
Yes.
I mean, Meg's mom said she literally spent a year of her life taking care of her daughter, and she had 2 other children, little children at the time, that her husband, who is a stockbroker, had to take time off from work. And back in the day when
that wasn't so easy.
No, and helped take care of the children while they spent their time at Siskin.
Right.
So.
And I think to understand that we have this in our own backyard. We're lucky, but you see people travel in who don't have this in their own backyard.
Yes, and we see that all the time, and it's wonderful to be able to help. The other thing, and the whole purpose of our luncheon is it raises money for our scholarship fund, our charity care fund, because so many people don't have insurance. And you have that horrible life-changing event, you don't want someone to have to go home and just sit in front of a television. You want them to be able to get better. And we see it with young people, that they age out of being on their parents' insurance, but they don't yet have that job that allows them the opportunity to have insurance. And something catastrophic can happen, and we've seen that happen many times. And so we're so grateful for folks to help support this, to be able to give this back.
And I need to be careful because I can insert myself in too much, but I had my own family miracle at the credit of Siskin, but it came after years of searching for us. And Meg's parents may have spoken to this too. When it's a long-going thing like that, your resources get depleted. I can remember begging, thinking, please let this be the answer, because what if the real answer comes along and I'm broke by that point and I can't afford it? So to have this fund is key.
It is key.
And some insurance doesn't cover Siskin, even though they're insured, particularly some of the Medicare
Advantage plans, and we talked about that.
And so that's scary. And we are a regional hospital, so we get people in from at least 3 states, and fairly far away, because there's nothing like this in Knoxville or.
Right. Well, and we are the largest rehab hospital in the state of Tennessee, and we continue to strive to do better, to do more, to be able to help more people, because we want to help people find the answers. And what I love is our therapists and our nursing team, they link arms and they work with that family to see what it's going to take to get that person back.
They absolutely do. And it isn't necessarily because you've had a stroke. Right. I mean, it could be that you had a fall. It could be a brain injury. It could be anything. Even something undiagnosed. They might be the ones to give you that diagnosis.
Absolutely.
So when people come to the Possibilities
Yes.
Luncheon. It's March 23rd at the
21st, actually.
21st, my apologies, at the Convention
It
Center.
is, yes.
They leave feeling inspired,
Absolutely.
wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes, and this is our 20th Possibilities, and I think this year is going to be one of the best ever. And I say that every year, but I'm so excited about this year. We've already had some conversations with Victoria Arlen, our speaker, and she is so passionate, and I really do think it's going to be very inspiring.
Well, here's how you can get your ticket, because the tables will sell.
Yes.
So you really don't want to put this one off. It is March 21st at 11:30 is when it all begins. It will stream live if you can't make it, but if you'll go to siskinrehab.org, that's how you'll get your ticket. March 21st is the date to mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun with those grandsons.
Oh, they're great. They're great.
Show us your mug, and you could win one of our new Local 3 mugs, plus a delicious ice cream cake from Dairy Queen. Just email your photo to showusyourmug@local3news.com. Watch for our winner each weekday morning on Local 3 News Today.
Are your windows drafty, broken, or is your